Welcome. I'm Nira Berry, the happiness coach, and your host of Happy and Healthy, where we explore and discover all the many ways of keeping you feeling happy and healthy. And remember to stay to the end to watch my Good to Know segment, where I've always got something good for you to know. And today we're going to learn something really important, and we have a really important guest. Her name is Rochelle Sobel, and thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
So Rochelle, you're the founder and you're the president of ASIRT,
Yes.
Association for Safe International Road Travel, which is really important because everybody's on the road every day. And so this is like something that we all should know about, and especially if we travel. So,
Precisely,
yeah.
right. Both as citizens of a country and travelers to other countries, it's extremely important.
Yeah, so tell me a little bit about ASIRT and maybe why you decided to found it.
So ASIRT is a nonprofit organization dedicated to promote global road safety through education and advocacy. We work to protect citizens of and travelers to other countries. We work with governments, we work with our own government, we actually founded a caucus for global road safety. We work with other NGOs in other countries on road safety, with the United Nations, WHO, the World Health Organization, and we work with study abroad organizations, many corporations who send their people abroad, and tourists. ASIRT started really from a tragedy, a personal tragedy. Aaron, my 25-year-old son, who was a senior medical student at the University of Maryland, was killed in a bus crash in Turkey along with 23 other passengers. According to the police report, the driver was speeding in a bus down the wrong lane of a narrow two-lane highway with very deteriorated road. He hit oncoming traffic, and the entire bus just plummeted down a deep ravine, killing everybody on one side.
Oh my God.
And emergency medical care, which perhaps could have saved some people, arrived too late.
Oh, I'm so sorry, for your loss, but I really commend you and give you so much credit and acknowledge the fact that what you've done is really create something to help so many other people.
Thank you. Aaron was 2 weeks shy of being a physician, and he was dedicating his life to protect others, and so in his memory and honor, that's what ASIRT attempts to do.
Yeah. Wow, I'm just really, really, really moved, and and I know that it must be very rewarding for you to be able to help other people. But where it stems from is a tough place. But you must really get a lot of reward in seeing how you've made changes in the world. That's amazing. And so, tell us about are road crashes globally? Is this something we should be concerned about?
They are such a serious issue, and when all this started, we were totally unaware of it. Over 1 million people die every year on the roads of the world, and an additional over 1 million, and an additional 50 million are injured, and many severely, many really for life impaired. If 10 or 9 jumbo jets were to crash every single day, people would be totally appalled, and yet this is what happens every day throughout the world, and not enough is done about it. Road crashes it's the single greatest cause of death for young people from 15 to 29.
Oh my
Globally,
gosh.
it is the single greatest cause of death for children as well. And it is the single greatest cause of death for healthy Americans traveling abroad. And that is a fact that was not well known. The way we found out about it is our organization convinced the State Department to collect those kind of statistics, and that's what they realized. If I had known then what I know now, perhaps the world would have been different, and that's what ASIRT attempts to do, provide people with information that can potentially save lives.
Whenever I make plans to travel abroad, and I know everybody else, nobody thinks about the safety of being on the road. And, often you go to countries where they have cliffs and maybe they have a tiny little short little piece of a wall or tiny little guardrail that really is not effective at all. And nobody ever thinks about that.
That's right. And, when my son was killed, I actually spoke to the American ambassador, Ambassador Mark Grossman, who was wonderful at the time. And I said to him, Mark, tell me what I should do. And he said, start an organization because, quote, I am sick of sending body bags home.
Oh, wow.
And that's when we realized what a serious situation was taking place in the world. And
good for you for taking action.
so we're doing our best. You know, when you travel to developed countries, the statistics aren't so terrible, but the reality is every traveler is a vulnerable road traveler. You're really not aware of what specific risks to worry about. We all know about traveling on the other side of the street, but there's such a thing as a road culture. You really are not aware of what the culture means.
Yeah.
I mean, what does a stoplight mean? Is it a suggestion? Is it a request? In some countries, is it a dare? You know, what about pedestrian safety? Are zebra crossings, do they mean anything in particular countries? Yeah. So in developed countries, you really need to know what all of these things are so that you can protect yourself. You need to become aware of the patterns of, and I'm not talking about only if you're a driver. You know, whatever you do, we're ultimately passengers and pedestrians at one point or another. In developed countries, the situation is far worse. The chance of being killed on the roads in developing countries is 20 to 80 times greater than in the United States. Wow. 85 to 90% of all deaths occur in mid-economic and developing countries. And Americans are traveling to these places increasingly for fun, for tourism, for humanitarian purposes, volunteers, as in the case of my son, for study abroad. Corporations, many corporations come to us for information, and we have seminars and programs with them to protect their travelers who go abroad.
I mean, as I'm talking to you, I'm thinking back on, you know, where I went on my honeymoon was in Greece, and I remember we had to make it to the ferry, and we took a taxi, and the taxi, I guess it must have been normal behavior for him, but he was zigzagging in and out, and I guess there was slow traffic, and so he actually went on the sidewalk and was zigzagging around the telephone poles, around the electrical poles on the sidewalk and back on the street. And it's just incredible now when I think about it, you know, that we do those kind of things. So, you know, which countries are the most affected?
So, as I said, the mid-economic and developing countries are really by far the worst. Africa has a terrible record of road safety, and ASIRT, our organization, works a lot in Africa. Latin American countries, many of them. You know, there are issues like speeding that we mentioned before, drink driving, licenses. Some driver's licenses are not attained in the way that they should be gotten, unfortunately. That is a serious problem. The roads itself are not roadworthy. They are not really what a road should be. The U.S. has something called a forgiving road. If you make one mistake, you're going to be saved by something else. Well, that's not the case in many of the countries where the infrastructure is so dreadfully poor. There are so many issues. That alcohol, as we mentioned, is one, but the person who's traveling also has to take responsibility for wise decision making. They have to be aware of what the buses are like in that country. What are the taxis like? I've been in taxis where I couldn't find a seatbelt. A, it either doesn't exist, or B, it's hidden underneath.
Like it's never been used.
That's right, the blanket, because the driver is more concerned about how nice his material is than my own personal safety. So there are many issues you really need to be aware of. Advisability of night travel. Many people think, oh, I'm going to this wonderful country. I can maximize my time if I travel by night, and then I can sightsee during the day. Well, in a country with a poor safety record, that is not a very wise decision.
And I know I've been in some countries where at night there aren't any lampposts at all, and there's pedestrians on the street, bicyclists. I mean, I totally understand that.
Lighting, signage, absolutely. And there's some countries, I've been in some countries where the drivers actually turn off their lights by night because they think they're saving their batteries.
Oh, yeah.
That is not uncommon in many countries.
So, you know, I want to hear more about all this, so we're going to just take a short break. I'm Nira Berry, and you've been watching Happy and Healthy with my guest Rochelle Sobel of ASIRT, and we're going to find out more about what we should know about traveling, road safety internationally and locally as well. So we'll be right back. Stay tuned.
Maria, so how's work?
It was fourth period biology. Our students just weren't getting how easily viruses spread. So Miss Bella and I had them role play a zombie virus outbreak. By the time they had all learned the lesson, all the living were dead. Hey, how's your job going?
That big sales meeting I planned? Next year. I might get to go.
Cool.
Hi, welcome back. I'm Nira Berry, your host of Happy and Healthy, and we're going to continue talking about road safety and ASIRT with Rochelle Sobel. So, Rochelle, if you can tell us, what are some things that we can do, like maybe list some things that we can do to better prepare for travel as far as road safety?
Absolutely. So I guess this sounds like a commercial, but one of the things that ASIRT does is develop road travel reports, detailed travel reports in over 100 countries, so you can know before you go. And it tells you something about the road culture, about the laws. It tells you how you should get onto a bus or a taxi. It advises you not to take local transport, the matatu, the trotro, all of these vehicles that have so much local color. Most of them are dreadfully dangerous. To bring a helmet of your own if you're going to be going on a motorcycle, which we don't advise, or a bicycle, because the country in which you're going to may not have one that's valuable.
I never even thought about
yeah,
that.
it's really very important. A child safety seat if you're traveling with kids, because they may have one, but it may not be up to standards. Very important things that you really should know. As a pedestrian, know what the laws are, know what the rules are, but know what really happens and be aware of it. Know what the emergency medical care is like, and have something in your phone with emergency numbers that would help you. All of this information, by the way, country by country, rural roads, urban roads, the most dangerous road, seasonal hazards. You know, Aaron was killed. I mean, there were many factors, as you see. Every crash is really a combination of factors. One of them is it was before a holiday, and there were so many vehicles on the road, and it was the purpose of the drivers to get as many people into the bus as you could. And so the bus itself was overcrowded. They also made the drivers drive overtime, so they were exhausted. So we warn people of things like that because they're enormously helpful. Also, things that could happen in terms of the particular season risk. You know, in the winter, in the summer, what to do, how to protect yourself. All of these things are extremely important.
Yeah, I had never even thought of like 90% of the things that you mentioned, which is so important. So what do you think are the biggest obstacles for people to want to take these safety precautions?
I think perhaps the worst thing is the word accident. We in the road safety world don't use that word because an accident means nobody's responsible. And what we're saying is, oh, that's not true. Many people are responsible. You are responsible. You should not be in a vacation mode and think, well, I don't usually drink, but here it's okay. As a pedestrian, drinking is dangerous. And as a driver, it's certainly dangerous. As a tourist, it can be dangerous when you're on the roads. So we warn people about that. That is a very serious thing. The other thing is not being aware of it. You know, there is perceived risk and true risk. So if you tell people, you know, things they worry about are things like, is terrorism, right? They worry about things like that. If you look at the difference between the number of people who die from road crashes as opposed to terrorist activities, I mean, it's incredible. So know what the true risks are, and don't do any behaviors that are not safe behaviors yourself. And don't think of it as an accident. Think you must be an informed user. You must know before you go.
Yeah, that's a good slogan. I don't know if that is your slogan, but
it's one of them.
But that's a good one.
It's one of them.
But yeah, so whenever I go on vacation, it's the last thing I would think about up until now. Now I've, you know, you've opened my eyes to all this, but really it's the last thing I would think about. And I understand that people go and they're on vacation mode, or they're whatever it is, holiday mode, or just relaxation, and they don't want to think about that. It's not something in their horizon, and it really should be.
Exactly, and that's why we offer this kind of information. That's why we work with study abroad programs. Many join us as ASIRT members, and we provide them with information. We work with the people who plan the itinerary so that they make safe travel decisions, as well as the young people themselves. We have seminars, webinars, so we try to spread the word. When we also give things in people's hands that can help them, that can make a true difference.
Yeah. So have you seen, so what year did ASIRT start?
So ASIRT started almost immediately after Aaron was killed because...
What year?
It was 1995.
So since 1995, when you started this amazing organization, have you seen the difference that it's made? You know, I'm sure you have. You want to share some of that?
Yeah, I think we've seen a lot of progress in awareness of this as a health factor and as a serious risk factor. We've seen WHO and the United Nations and our own country and many other countries be much more proactive about road safety as an issue. And I think that's been very, very helpful. I think we're also, I must say that many vehicles have done a lot to protect us. Sometimes the drivers don't change their behavior so much, but we're all sitting in vehicles with a lot of safety precautious materials and things that are really helping us protect ourselves. But we have to have the intelligence to use them, to put them on, because they're very important. So that's been enormously helpful. And one of the most exciting things that I've seen is the UN has passed maybe 8 or 9 resolutions on road safety. And the last one was voluntary targets that countries themselves are willing to accept without laws from the outside, but they themselves are agreeing to change the road safety behaviors in terms of the risk factors: speeding, alcohol, helmet use, seatbelts. They are imposing upon themselves risk reductions to help people be safer wherever they travel. You know, when someone invites you to your country, you are a guest in their home and you do whatever you can to make them happy and safe. Well, we feel the same way about tourism. If you go to another country, that country should do everything it can to keep you safe.
Yeah.
And we feel that way about our own country too. We have places to go, a lot to improve.
So in these countries, can you name some specific changes that they've made, like the types
I have
of
a wonderful
roads?
story to tell. So we were working on matatus, which are local transport, safe transport, and we worked with a minister of transport who really made efforts to improve the conditions.
And what are matatus?
Matatus are local vehicles that people get on, jump on, climb on, far
They're
too
like
many
open?
people on one, open, people hanging out from the sides.
Okay.
They stop in the middle of the road so a car can hit somebody coming in. And they were really, the death rate was enormous. And ASIRT got to work. We worked with people. And I happened to meet a young man who was a traveler, and I always love asking questions. And I asked him how he felt about road safety. And he said, you know, it's amazing. I was in Kenya for over a year. In the beginning, when I rode matatus, they were awful. And then toward the end, my goodness, they wouldn't let too many people on the matatu. Everyone had to have a seatbelt. The driver was driving more slowly. I mean, those kind of successes really warm your heart.
Yeah, that's a feather in your cap. I mean, that's a direct relationship.
But the problem is you have to keep going, you know?
Yeah.
It's like something that needs a constant vaccination. You have to keep repeating and reminding people that these initiatives have to continue to truly save lives.
Yeah, and also to develop new things for other countries to use. I saw something, I think it was on your website, about these rolling barriers. I don't know if they're actually out there yet or they're just part of like a test study. But it was just amazing. It showed how these trucks were flying into this yellow road barrier that was rolling, and it just kind of deflected the energy, and it just kept on going instead of like the truck falling over the cliff, you know, or a bus.
They're amazing,
Yeah.
and they are already in certain countries. They're in Korea, by the way, where it was invented, and they're also in Malaysia. They're in several other countries. There's a place in the U.S. where they are also being used. It is wonderful, and I kept thinking, not only did my son not have a guardrail at all, but you know, a metal guardrail can sometimes be very dangerous too. But here, as you put it, the energy is deflected and the vehicle is returned to the road.
Yeah.
I mean, and that kind of intelligent design, so we need essentially intelligent vehicles, intelligent design, intelligent infrastructure, and intelligent people
Yeah.
in order to make the world's roads safer for all of us.
So how about like here in the U.S.? What can you give us some specifics about what positive changes you've seen?
Yes, I can give you positive, and I can give you, unfortunately, negative.
Okay.
So in the United States, we had a 40,000 annual death rate consistently for a long period of time. Then it went down, but partly that was because of the economy. Because when the economy got poorer, there were fewer people on the roads, particularly the young people and the elderly, who unfortunately are responsible for many of the deaths and injuries on the roads.
And if the economy's down, they may not be able to afford a car or be able to travel.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Now that the economy has risen, the death rate has gone up to 40,000 again. This year it was a little bit less. And the other serious problem is really in the hands of the people. I mean, when I see young kids crossing the street completely with they cannot hear, they're not getting the hints because their ears, or they can only hear their own loud blasting music on the phone or texting. I mean, distraction is a serious problem. Also, the fact, speeding is probably one of the most serious causes of crashes, because you have no chance to accommodate. And in a number of states, unfortunately, the speed limits have gone up rather than down, which is really imagine that, which is dreadful. It's 80 and 85 in some states,
Really?
which is negatively impacted.
Is that like Montana or something? where they have to
Precisely,
get to the
Texas,
farmland?
that's right, and it's impacting upon their road crash rate. So we have to be constantly working on it. This is unfortunately an ongoing problem.
And as far as the age limit, I guess the starting age of
Right.
driving, getting the driver's license, and also the age limit. you know,
Exactly,
like
on
that-
both ends, yeah.
Yeah.
And as you surmise, the young people have the most crashes, unfortunately. There is a high death and injury rate for them.
Yeah, because I think in Montana, I think they start driving at 14.
Right.
You know, and I think aren't there studies that show like the older you are, like let's say starting at 18,
The difference is amazing, just
Yeah.
those 2 or 3 extra years in terms of maturity and responsibility. The graduated licenses that we have in the U.S. have been amazing in terms of saving lives also.
Wow. So, what do you think about these the new autonomous vehicles?
Yeah.
Like that, or anything else that's new on the horizon? What do you think about
So
that?
some of my colleagues are not as optimistic as I am about them. I think they will be the answer. I really think that eventually they will save a huge number of lives. There are a lot of kinks, there are a lot of problems that need to be worked out, but eventually they will truly be an opportunity for everyone to have a safe, secure trip wherever they're going, short or long journeys. I think they're...
Because of what? Because the automatic stopping, or
That's right, because
yeah,
they're going to be so programmed.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, all of us with the best intentions make foolish decisions when we're feeling perhaps pressure. You know, oh, this is an important rule. I shouldn't speed, but I'm in a rush,
Yeah.
and this time I can do it, and that kind
Yeah.
of thing. The vehicle is going to prevent you from doing it.
Or
I
else
think it's-
maybe the sun is setting and you're getting that glare, and you may not see
Absolutely.
exactly as you're going around a bend or something.
Absolutely. Fog, rain. I mean, I have traveled in Kenya where I don't know how the escarpment, you really could not see where you were going. A vehicle like that will really keep you much safer.
Yeah, absolutely. So if people wanted to find out more about ASIRT, can you give the website for them to find out?
Absolutely. Please look at ASIRT.org, and you will see all kinds of information, all the ways in which we can help you as a traveler to have a safe trip, to make informed travel decisions. If you're traveling as a tourist, if you're the administrator of a study abroad program, if you're a corporation, whatever you do and wherever you're going, we have information and materials that can truly help save your life and help you make informed travel choices.
Oh, that sounds great. And just really fast before we end, when you're driving down the road, do you like automatically think about like all these different safety things, or do you feel like, you can just drive and...
Constantly. I am constantly looking and going, oh my goodness, that biker is far too close to where a vehicle can open its door, or why isn't he wearing a helmet?
Do you stop people on the street?
I have been known to do that. As I said, young people who are walking walking around and texting
Yeah.
while they're crossing the
Or
street.
people jogging.
And jogging,
They
absolutely.
don't even look.
Unbelievable.
I've seen people come right in front of me, not even looking because they're jogging.
I saw a bicyclist texting, really?
Yeah.
So
Oh my God, that's
constantly,
crazy. That's
constantly.
crazy.
Or roads that are poorly developed. I mean,
Yeah.
what were we thinking? Potholes, even in this country,
Yeah.
that really need to be
Yeah,
fixed.
because that could, somebody's
Because
not
you-
aware of it, could
Precisely, you veer. Exactly.
Well, this is such good information. Thank you so much for being my guest today, Rochelle Sobel of ASIRT, Association for Safe International Road Travel. And these are all really good and important points for us to remember and try to actually utilize. And so I'm so happy that she can be here today. I'm Nira Berry, the Happiness Coach, and I'm your host of Happy and Healthy. And stay tuned for our next segment of What's Good to Know. Stay tuned. Hi, I'm Nira Berry, the Happiness Coach and host of Happy and Healthy. And now it's time for What's Good to Know. And as part of my series on success at work and at life, I'm going to talk to you about rude behavior. And why are we rude to each other? I mean, really think about it. Like, did you notice that people have just gotten progressively more and more rude? Very often it's because people feel disrespected and that's how they want to respond. Also, maybe it has to do with the internet, with Twitter and Facebook and Instagram. We don't have that one-on-one face-to-face contact, and so maybe people might just feel like they can say rude things and not have to worry about actually seeing the person. So maybe those are some of the reasons. But really, anytime, even if somebody acts rude to you, the appropriate response is always to act civilly. And always start with abundance of kindness. Really just let anything roll off your shoulders and always use the golden rule. Treat people the way you would like to be treated. And the more that you do that, the more that you'll see it'll come back to you. And if you feel like it's really just tough to make that change, I can give you a few tips. So first of all, before you respond to anything, just think before you speak. Think about what's going to come out of your mouth. Think about your voice, monitor your voice level. Are you talking in a harsh tone? Are you talking loudly? Or are you talking softly? And really try to be empathetic to the person. Really maybe put yourself in their shoes. And also, I would say, don't speak negatively about other people. Don't gossip, because that just promotes more rude and bad behavior. And be modest about yourself. When somebody's talking, you don't always have to up them, and try to make yourself look better or at the expense of the other person and putting them down. You don't want to make somebody look bad. And just remember that, nice people, they always finish first. They really do. So spread that kindness and be smart and be kind and just really just try to be the best person that you can be and try to use those tips. And let me know if you do. You can reach me. I'm Nira Berry, the Happiness Coach. And you can reach me at my email at info@niraberry.com, as well as my website at niraberry.com. So thanks for watching Happy and Healthy. I'm your host, Nira Berry, and I hope you have a happy day.